Warning, this podcast may contain offensive material. View at your own discretion. And with that being said, welcome to the KAS Podcast. Tonight, we're going to be discussing the return of Toonami.
Welcome to the televised revolution as we drift through outer space aboard the absolution. With time back and active duty as captain in charge of bringing superior anime action. Yeah, you came to the right place if you have a taste for animation in deep space base. Broadcast through your television due to the progress of the Bring Back Toonami Twitter mission.
Okay, today it's me, and I'm going to be Christopher Swain, aka Kyoshiro1902, and I'm going to be joined by
Caleb, Pharaoh's Armada.
Okay, and we've done quite a few shows together in the past. Of course, we only posted one podcast, but not important. Okay, so what's been happening lately, Caleb? What did you do over Memorial Day?
I just mostly, just hung with the family. We drank and had good food. That kind of thing. So it was good.
Oh yeah, it was a lot of fun. I actually went and did something that I've been wanting to do for a while now, and I went to go see the Avengers.
Hate you.
I went to go see it twice, and then I went to go see Battleship, and that was a disappointment, but...
Really?
Yeah, I mean, Battleship's not a bad movie. Here's what I liked about it. I liked the big, gigantic action scenes. I liked how it tied in with the board game in little small ways that you wouldn't expect. Heck, I even liked the characters from Spot, even though Rihanna's acting was horrible. But what I hated about that movie? Well, the CG. This is something you never do in a movie. It reused animation. You ever watched an anime and they do the same attack and it looks just the way it did before?
Yeah.
They do that in this movie.
Oh.
Yeah, it's really bad, and the movie's ending's kind of weak. Granted, they're setting it up for another movie, but the ending is really weak. So I kind of recommend it. I don't want to spend too much time on it since this is a gaming podcast and an anime podcast, which is kind of important. But would I recommend it? Probably. And the Avengers? Well, that'll be a whole separate podcast down the line in the future. So trust me, we're going to talk about it.
Right.
And what else did you do over Memorial Day weekend? There was a nice little festival that went on in town.
Yeah, a nice little blues festival. Got to hear just flat out soul blue music. Can't get any better than that.
Yeah, I didn't get to stay very long. How many people played?
I actually don't know. I mostly stayed for Jupiter Stone, which one of the guys from that group taught me how to play guitar, and then I also saw Jimmy D. Taylor and Steven. I can't remember his last name, but they're called the Little Boy Blues.
And they were pretty good. You know what? We might just feature some of their music for the intro for this podcast. Not sure we're going to do it yet, but
Maybe.
it'd be a good idea. And actually, I only stayed there for a little bit, but I loved what I heard. I didn't get to hear Jupiter Stone, so that was an unfortunate series for fans.
They were good.
I imagine they were good. But with those introductions out of the way, we wanted to be really quick about that. Let's get right into our first set, the games. So, a lot of games are coming out now, and quite a few ones, to be honest. And we want to do this is basically a pre-E3 show. So here are some games that, we're not going to talk about E3, but here are some games that I'm really excited to say I want to play in the future that are already out or coming out very soon. Number 1, Dragon's Dogma. Caleb, this is your game.
Okay. When I played the Dragon Dogma demo, I was really impressed. At first glance, it reminds you kind of like a Dark Souls or Demon Souls, kind of environment. But as you played more, it kind of felt more like a dot hack GU in a collide with Shadows of the Colossus, mostly just because you've got to grab onto your enemies. But there are some faults with it. What were some of them? Like the environment didn't feel like real or something.
Yeah, I'm gonna say what I know from the demo. I've heard a lot of things from reviews, but after a while, you learn not to trust certain reviews. Some of them get it right, but when I played the demo, the character customization was great, but sometimes things felt out of place. Like, you can make characters that were way too tall or way too small, which isn't that big of a problem because I guess I should say one of the faults right here, you can't play online with others. And since these characters can look weird, and you're only sending over your character's avatar to other players, it seems weird that they would allow you to make such weird-looking creations that don't really fit the world. But the biggest problem is that you can't play online for me. I mean, this game is based on the Monster Hunter series. This is Capcom's attempt at making something different with Monster Hunter's format. And it actually feels like it might just be, the format that they're trying to get ready for in Monster Hunter 4. Now, this game looks a lot like how Monster Hunter 4 has been, tagged to look like. So, I don't know. We'll see. And the story looks, well, I'll let Caleb discuss that.
Just from what I've seen, they said that the story looks pretty weak, and I can kind of see how, with a dragon eating your heart and then you coming back to life. But I could see how how that might be a little confusing. But the only thing I'm really afraid of is that if it's still worth buying, because I know the combat system is just absolutely amazing. I just love it. But I'm just wondering if it's still going to be, worth paying, $60 right when it comes out.
Yeah, and to be honest, I think that a dragon eating your heart is freaking awesome. But that's just me. But what bothers me here is that this game isn't a game about story in the first place. In fact, I can tell you that the story is going to feel very tacked on. What I was most excited about was this isn't just your regular hack and slash or defeat some big gigantic monster game. You do get to fight regular monsters.
Yeah.
Something I wanted in Shadow of the Colossus, but I was okay with not having because it fit the story. But this is a game where story doesn't matter. So not only do you get to fight gigantic monsters, but you get to be your own character. So, dual wield. You can dual wield weapons like a twin blade, or you can have a big gigantic broadsword, or you can have a sword and shield, or you can be an archer, or you can be a magician, or you can be all of the above.
You can be anything you want to be. You ain't gotta be like Dad says, trying to do something you don't want to do. It's my life!
I know, it is our life. And this is the game that will let us live our lives, or sit on the bed and play it with the controller and waste time. It doesn't matter. What the next thing that's really great about this game, though, is that there are gigantic monsters. And this is why I said it really needed online, but that's fine. The gigantic monsters in this game, man, I mean, they have... I know that this isn't something new. I mean, we've seen it in plenty of games, but they have griffins. But the thing about this game is you can grab the griffin, have it fly you up into the sky while other people shoot arrows at it. Once again, why it needs to be online. Epic! And when you take it down, you actually get to go down with it while it's falling. And then you can time your jumps and stab it in the head. I mean, it was amazing. When you fight this, another thing you see in the demo, not to spoil too much, but what you see in the demo is you get to fight, what's it called? A chimera?
Chimera, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the chimera, it has, the heads and the snake tail and the goat on the back. And yeah, you can cut all those things off. You can cut them off and defeat the enemy that way, and I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's really where it got me with the boss fights. But that's really what the game's about anyway.
Alright, yeah, so basically overall, we may think it may be worth buying as soon as it comes out, but probably would want to wait just a little bit.
Yeah, because there is already DLC in Japan.
Yeah.
It comes free with an Xbox 360 controller. Man, Microsoft knows how to market to the Japanese audience. Okay, so that's Dragon's Dogma. Okay, our next game. This is a game I know very little about, but I'm going to let the #1 Spider-Man fan over here talk about it.
Oh, you mean me? Oh, yes. Okay, the Amazing Spiderman game. I don't quite know about it yet. From what I see, it's about Oscorp developing robots and they go haywire. I don't know where I've seen people talk about aliens or something. Maybe aliens come in later, or I don't know. Okay. Anyway, at first when I saw it, I was like, dude, what the crap? This doesn't look good at all.
I'm granted that was about a year ago.
Well, true. But then I started watching just a little bit more about it, and it does seem like it would be a pretty good game. And I know what most people would think. Games based on the movie are probably not that good, and I will admit most aren't. But the Spider-Man 2 game based off the Spider-Man 2 movie was pretty good, and I still say that it is the best Spider-Man game ever made so far. And I've pretty much played all Spider-Man games, and because Spider-Man was like my favorite superhero since I was like 6. I've always been a Marvel fan, so whoopee.
Yeah, and that's true. I don't remember who developed the last series of games, which I think is important to understand this game. Did Beanox develop the last 2 Spider-Man games?
I cannot really remember. Shattered Dimensions was okay. I didn't like how it was just straightforward. I like a Spider-Man game to be real free roam, and they built up so much hype about it, mostly with just the noir Spider-Man. I mean, that was pretty cool, Spider-Man being stealth and all. That I liked. But still, all the other Spider-Mans just kind of felt like just like the regular Spider-Man. His were mostly web attacks, and they felt more like cartoon kind of style. And then the future Spider-Man, the 2099 Spider-Man, he was okay. And then the Black Suit Spider-Man, that's just pretty much been overused so many times. But I'm getting off topic. Okay.
Well, Shattered Dimensions was good, right?
Well, it was.
I mean, it was okay. It was okay. It wasn't worth $60, but it was a good game.
Yeah, it was a good game.
But Edge of Time was atrocious.
Oh yes, we all know. I didn't even look at it really. I only watched the trailer. I was like, no, I don't want to.
And see what it is Activision had this thing like with the Modern Warfare games and Call of Duty in general. There has to be a new game every year. So with Spider-Man, they tried doing this and failed with that one. Now, I don't know how long this one's been in development. Probably at least 2 years, but maybe 3. But for me, it looks like they've actually put some work into it.
Yeah. I personally think the best part about it is that they took the idea from Batman Arkham Asylum in Gotham in Arkham City. And from what I saw from certain interviews is that they took that idea and that they made Spider-Man's combat more fluent, like it is in the Batman games. That really impressed me. And from what I also heard is that, and from what I've also seen is that they put the camera more up close to Spider-Man. Shut up! I know I use gestures. They put the camera more up close to Spider-Man, so it makes you feel like you're more like Spider-Man. So it's like, and then there's the what is it? The web.
It's
web.
I don't remember. Yeah, it's like some kind of web flash or something.
Web rush.
Rail brush. Yeah.
Yeah. That it supposedly is supposed to slow down time to where you can pinpoint where you want to go, and once you choose that specific place, it'll do like a little cool cutscene, and that seems cool. But I'm also afraid it's going to be like, where it's going to be just a little too much, where it seems like you have to do it all the time.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, because I was looking at the free roam. I don't know how to what extent you can free roam the city in this game. Apparently, it's to a very small extent, but you can still do it. But Spider-Man and the Spider-Man 2, the reason that game was so good is that you could quickly move around the city in like seconds, and you were always in control of doing that. In this game, it looks like there are going to be a lot of times where you're just well brushing your way around the city, going into that camera view and changing things. But that's just my idea. I mean, I haven't seen a lot of footage of the game, but to me, that sounds like what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But it can also be used in combat.
Yeah, they also did say that, like, with certain areas, they give you the choice whether, say you go, like, into a bank and it's being robbed, you can have the choice to either do, like, the noir Spider-Man and, be all stealthy, or you could just, Modern Warfare that bitch and just go in guns blazing.
Oh, yeah. That's awesome. I love that.
But, two more things about it. Not more about the game. Oh, no, wait. Three things. Okay. One benefit I do like. Okay. One benefit I do like is that the enemies. So far, all I know is that they have Rhino and Lizard in the games, and I like the way they look because they basically made them more like human, animal-like. Like, because, Rhino, like in the original comics, it looks like he was just a big man in a rhino suit. And in the game, they actually made him look like, there was some kind of mad experiment where they crossed, human DNA with rhino DNA. So that was a big plus for me.
Yeah, and that's cool, but, in the Amazing wasn't the Amazing Spider-Man? Whatever it was, Ultimate Spider-Man, Rhino was a cyborg, a midget inside of a cyborg.
Shut up. That show sucked. Anyway, okay, and other thing, I personally don't like the web shooters. I mean, just because, and I hate that the third movie was so bad that they had to do a reboot. I mean, that I don't mind, but it's just...
Do you mind explaining what the web shooters are to people who don't know?
Okay, back into the original comics, like when it was first issued, when Spider-Man, when Peter Parker got bit, he got the super strength, the spider senses, the ability to stick to walls and all that, but for some reason he didn't have the ability to shoot web unless it was just out of his butt or something like that. So since he's so smart, he made like these little gadgets to where they'd shoot web-like stuff to where he could swing around the city. But then, as the comics, moved on, they basically said, when Peter got bit, he just had these things on his wrist to where he could just shoot out web. And I like that better. But, web shooters, I'm just like, it seems kind of a hassle kind of thing just because, like, he could be just swinging along, just and then all of a sudden he just runs out. I mean, that's my biggest problem with it.
Well, I think what they're going to do, and I could be wrong about this, either way, it's going to be fine to me.
Well, and plus, you've seen in the trailer, where it's like he just got bitten and he's, like, looking in the mirror and then there's, like, web coming out of the back of his neck. What's that?
I mean, that's as well, but I mean, that's what I said. Here's what I think they're going to do. And I could be wrong about this, and, go. And don't stone me if I am. But
choose your words carefully.
What they're going to do is Peter's going to have the ability to shoot the stuff out of his wrist. He just is. He's going to be able to shoot web out of his wrist. But because he has to wear a costume, he needs a place for it to come out at. And that's what the web shooters are going to do in the movie.
I guess that would make sense.
I mean, it's still going to be, do you like it on the costume or not? Most people don't like it on the costume. So, right. But for me, I'm not a big Spider-Man fan.
And that's the other thing, the costume. I quite don't care for the new costume. I mean, it's not that big of a change, but I personally don't like it just because, I like the more original Spider-Man, so I like the original costume better, even though there's like several different costumes for it, different universes and all that.
Yeah.
But the costume is just kind of so-so for me.
Yeah, I mean, I can take it or leave it. I mean, it seems like it'll fit the new movie more, but I don't know how it fits in the game.
Since it is kind of a reboot. So.
And it's a darker movie than the original.
Yeah, true.
What else about Amazing Spider-Man? Is there anything else?
No. But the one thing I do think is going to happen is from what I understand is that the main villain in the movie is going to be Lizard, which I'm hearing is he's being called Iguana.
Yeah, no, that's
why? It's Lizard.
Well, it's either because of the comic book which it's based on, which, the Amazing Spider-Man is it's kind of a different series, not really, but I don't know, maybe it's because they already had Lizard in the other games, and they already had him planned for the other movies.
I don't know.
I don't have a clue.
Alright, well, from what I understand is that's going to be the villain in the movie. Now, don't hold it against me, because I don't know. But anyway, I'm still gonna go see it.
Yeah, we're gonna go see the movie.
Yeah.
Will the game be a day one to first month purchase, or how long do you think it'll be before you decide to pick up the game?
It would just depend on what other videos are posted. If I start to get to where I'm just like, okay, this will be worth buying on the first day, then I might buy on the first day. But if it doesn't improve from what I've seen, I might wait till it's like $40 or something.
Okay, that makes sense. I'm sure that's good. So I think that's it for Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah. Okay, so now we come into Chris's domain, Max Payne.
Oh yeah, my domain, right? Okay, so when I was young, at about the age of 8, maybe 10, I picked up Max Payne 1 for the first time. I don't know what made me get it. I don't know what made my parents decide they were going to buy me this game. I usually just got whatever games I wanted anyway, but I don't know what made me get this game all of a sudden. I know it was for a birthday. But Max Payne 1 was one of the most amazing video game experiences I had ever gone through at that point. What other games begin with a guy on the top of a building? It's very mysterious. You don't know why he's on the top of this building. You just know that he looks angry. He looks pissed.
Spider-Man Web of Shadows.
What?
Yeah, the game starts off with him on top of a building.
No, but not like that. In Max Payne, though, he's on top of a building. He's angry. He's mad. He's satisfied, and you don't know why. So you go back to the past. The first mission in the game, you walk into your house and find your wife and your probably maybe a year old, maybe even newborn daughter dead, shot by 3 guys, and you had to. Put it simply, you had to figure out who did it. That was very, very controversial, but not like it didn't cause controversy, but it was a controversial thing for me playing it, because to start it out like that for me as a child, I just wanted to buy this game to go shoot guys, and to have that be what I get, I was invested. I wanted to take down those suckers, and I did.
Yeah.
And so played through it. And then got Max Payne 2 as soon as it came out. Went through that entire game, loved it, and fell in love with the series and couldn't wait for the third one. The first game's manual mentioned that they're making a movie, and then the second game, well, it might have wrapped up the story, but it seemed like it just made sense to make another game. And then nothing came out. Just like 7 years, nothing came out. And then suddenly, I hear about this Max Payne movie. And I go to the theaters with all of my friends. Caleb was there.
Oh, yeah.
And we sit down in the theater, and we're like, okay, this is the first... I'm thinking this is the first Max Payne thing I've seen in years, so this is going to be good. I was able to excuse that Mark Wahlberg was going to be in it. Mila Kunis was playing Mona Sachs. No, that was fine. I could get over that. This movie was atrocious. This is the worst movie I've ever seen. No lie. This is honestly the worst movie I've ever seen. It's not even fun to watch for... Like, it looks beautiful. You start up and you're thinking, this is going to be a good movie. It really does start like it's going to be good. It's confusing, but it looks like it's going to be good. And then it isn't. It's just... Mark Wahlberg's angry. He hides behind stuff, and he never shoots the bad guys, and he's a weak pussy, and then he takes the drug, and he's not a weak pussy, and the plot is all over the place, and it's just not good. And I'm sorry... that I'm getting so over exerted about this, but I hated that movie.
Would you say that it's almost as bad as Dragon Ball Evolution?
It is on that level of bad. Evolution was probably worse. I'm gonna be honest. Dragon Ball Evolution probably worse, but Max Payne is just as bad. See, the only thing is Max Payne was so. I actually cared to see Max Payne, so that's why that's so bad in my mind. I didn't care about Dragon Ball Evolution at all.
Well, and see, it's so bad for him because he grew up on Max Payne. It was bad enough for me, even though I knew absolutely nothing about Max Payne. I still thought it was pretty a horrible movie, just because I was clueless throughout the whole movie. Because I was like, okay, there's shooting. Okay, there's a drug. Okay, for some reason there's these weird angel things grabbing people. I don't. What's happening? I don't understand.
And to be honest, for a while I didn't quite get why some of this stuff was happening. But Max Payne 3, well, I'll get into that in a second. So Max Payne, the movie, was horrible, but there was still hope in my mind. See, a couple years before this, there had been a little advertisement for the first time when they were releasing the announcement for Red Dead Redemption's release date, and there was this small picture at the bottom of the screen that said Max Payne 3 coming soon. Oh. Now that was back in 2008. And I saw that and I was amazed. I was like, okay, I gotta get this game. So I went and I looked at and I just waited for news. Kept looking for pictures. Eventually pictures started to come out. Trailers started to come out. This game was going to come out, and it was going to be in February. And I was going to get it. And then it got pushed back to May. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to get it in May. So I finally picked it up, day one, May 15th. And I'm happy to say Max Payne 3 is the best game I've played on the PS3. Well, besides something like Red Dead Redemption. But as far as third-person shooter goes, Max Payne 3 is the best third-person shooter I have played ever. Yay! It is amazing. Okay, when you start the game, you're okay, I'm not going to get too deep into this, so I'm just going to go ahead and get with it. The reason this game is so good is it's simple. You just shoot stuff. You watch cutscenes, and you can slow down time. They don't try to do anything beyond that. They don't try to suddenly make it where you're doing hand-to-hand combat in the middle of a field. They don't suddenly make you start driving for some random mission that ends up sucking by the end of it. They don't make you free roam in the city just so you can get from place to place. LA nowhere. But, yeah, so it was really good. I loved every minute of it. I got to shoot lots of people. The storyline is amazing. I don't want to spoil anything, so I really can't talk about it. But to keep it simple, it's not very Max Payne-like. See, the first two games were very depressing, very... but they're all depressing, but it's very depressing, very, very dark atmospheres and stuff. Max Payne 3 manages to have the same dark atmosphere as the other games, but it rarely takes place at night. It's almost always sunlight in this game. And the biggest change is no longer in New York City. They've actually taken the series and put it in Sao Paulo in Brazil. And that was pretty cool. But I think my only complaint is so much of the game has people speaking Spanish, and it leaves the player out of the blue. Like, it just... Sometimes plot points come out of the blue, because if you don't know any Portuguese, you're just kind of going through the game not understanding any of the words these people are saying, and then you don't understand stuff till Max Payne explains it to you. But for the most part, Max Payne 3 is probably one of the greatest games I've played. It loads during the cutscenes, but the greatest achievement of this game is the multiplayer. The multiplayer is actually fun, and I hate multiplayer. Caleb knows I can complain about Modern Warfare and Black Ops Online for days.
Mm-hmm, sure can.
And I do it. So, Max Payne 3, multiplayer is fun. Single player is fun. There are a lot of different ways to play it. I've beaten it 6 times in the past month. So
6 times?
Yeah, I've beaten it actually, I might have beaten it 7 times. So I might have beaten it 6 or 7 times in the past month. It is that good.
Wow.
Yeah, so did you think anything while seeing Max Payne 3? Or has I've actually recently made him play through Max Payne 1. So, do any of those things?
Max Payne was hard. It was fun, but it was hard. But we just finished it today, so I know part of 1, and I'm hoping he won't make me play 2. I'm hoping he'll just forget about that. But when he got Max Payne, when he got Max Payne 3, I saw just a little bit of it, and I was like, wow, this game seems awesome. But I'm the kind of person where it's like I don't want to play it unless I've played the other previous games, which is, kind of why I don't want to watch the Avengers yet, because I haven't seen Thor, even though I've heard it pretty much sucks. But anyway, I would recommend Max Payne 3 just because it looks pretty good to me. So, yeah.
Okay, so with that, let's get to the main part of the podcast.
Yeah. After 30 minutes.
Okay. Okay, so recently there has been a little outsurge of something that I think a lot of us haven't seen in a long time, and many of us have been missing since the 90s. Or hasn't been good since the 90s, let me put it that way. Toonami.
Toonami's back.
Bitches. I thought I would say it. I didn't think he was going to say it, so. It's back. And, it's not in full force yet, but it's great to see that we've got Stephen Blum coming back to play Tom.
Yeah, but, like you told me, he's not getting paid for this. But the cool thing is he loves it so much that he's actually doing it for free. But I think that if he was getting paid, he get to say more cool and funny stuff.
Yeah, actually, we'll get into this. Let's start with something basic. Let's start with our anticipation for Toonami. See, for us, Toonami had gone downhill at about the time that the last Tom came up. In fact, after the second half of Naruto, to be more specific.
Yeah, back when Tom had that really stupid character design look for him.
Yeah, he looked like a Wii controller.
Yeah.
I mean, he looked like a brown and orange Wii controller. That's really it. And, in fact, Tom wasn't even the focus of it. There was a lot of times where just other people talking. And,
yeah.
Because there was no Stephen Blum. So, the big thing about this, and this is anticipation, so it kind of went off when Naruto, they pretty much put all their money into Naruto and didn't have money for any new shows. So they had to show 2 episodes of Naruto a week, and they couldn't pay for the license, so Toonami got canceled. Well, I've been wanting Toonami back ever since then. And I've been waiting and waiting and waiting, and there hasn't been any. I mean, after Durarara, there was nothing good on Adult Swim. I mean, don't tell me Kaiishi is good, because that's decent at best.
Yeah.
But I've been looking forward to Toonami for a while, and I even went to some old Toonami websites. But what got us anticipating Toonami? Well, April Fools.
Yeah, April Fools.
Did you watch April Fools? I think I showed you the broadcast.
Yeah, you showed me. I think I actually missed it. So
yeah, I watched it. They did a little joke where they pretended like they were going to show The Room, which for y'all who don't know, it's an intentionally bad, stupid, horrible movie that's so funny that it's so bad it's funny. And Toonami shows it. I mean, Adult Swim shows it every year at April Fools now as a joke, and they always pretend like they're going to show the normal shows, and then they show The Room. And
you're tearing me apart, Lisa.
I love that, and that's actually important, because when they actually show that line, like they're about to show The Room, and then zoom out of the TV, and there's Tom from Toonami, and he's like, "What's up, all of you? I bet y'all thought we were gonna play that movie."
Yeah,
and it's hilarious. So they went back and they showed a bunch of old school anime. They showed Outlaw Star, Gundam Wing, Tenchi Muyo, Yu Yu Hakusho, Dragon Ball Z. They showed all the stuff that we remember as kids. And I don't think that's the importance of Toonami, but I'll get into that in a minute. But, so ever since then, I've been waiting for them to bring it back. I've been filling out petitions, going on Cartoon Network's site, going to their Toonami section, and just sending them messages to let them know that I really appreciated that, and I liked it, and I hope to see more. And so that's what built my anticipation, but what built your anticipation for Toonami?
Alright, well, truth is, I didn't really watch a lot of Toonami, but I did watch some of it. Part of it was just because I thought Tom just looked awesome. He almost looked like a Power Ranger, but except not stupid. And mostly I watched Toonami was because of Naruto, and I was a big fan of that. But now I'm just kind of drifted off. So after it kind of ended, I was like, man, why can't Toonami come back on? Because I do know that they used to show a lot of anime, and I know as far as everybody else knows, like there's not a lot of TV channels where you get to watch anime a lot. And so when I heard that there was the potential of Toonami coming back on, I was like, all right, now I don't have to watch anime in crappy quality.
Well, and also you can watch it legally, which I'll get into in a little bit. Again, I've got a lot of stuff to bring up about some of the stuff in a minute. But let's talk about the main part of Toonami that they've brought back, that people were excited about, the commercials.
Oh, yeah, the commercials.
There's always this little part in between Toonami where you have Tom say something cool, or you see these little glimpses of planets in space, or it feels like its own world.
Yeah.
And Stephen Blum, there's nobody better to do a voice for anything than Stephen Blum. So they make Tom immediately awesome by doing this. I mean, do you remember that part where Tom is just sitting there, right? And
yeah.
He sits down in the chair, and he swivels it around, and all of a sudden you see this atomic symbol on his chest, and Stephen Blum starts talking. Amazing.
I know.
Stephen Blum has that voice that immediately gets you hooked, and it's almost like an addiction. You've got to have him.
Just like he did for the Ghost Recon game.
Yeah, because that's actually funny. He does the voice for the Ghost Recon game, but that advertisement was showing during Toonami, and it was kind of funny. But beyond that, there's actually another thing that they brought back in Toonami. I didn't write it on our notes, but I think we remember it. They did a review for I Am Alive.
Yeah. I don't quite remember all of it, but from what I understand, that I Am Alive is basically the end of the world's happening. You play this guy who goes out trying to look for his family. It really does look like the apocalypse had happened, and mostly just because they showed some footage of where the guy was walking around, and from what they said, it was like you had to be very, very scarce with your items because you rarely find anything out there. And I don't know how the interacting with characters is, but it did look like a pretty good game.
And I've played it, and it's pretty good. But the most important part of that is that Tom did a review again. A lot of people know that Final Fantasy X is my favorite game. You know what enticed me to buy that game? The Toonami review. Final Fantasy X is my favorite game. I bought it because of Toonami. So this is saying something about how Toonami affects me. I was happy to see a video game review again. And I'm happy that this makes a lot of sales for I'm Alive. I don't want to give too much about way of commercials. Like I said, Stephen Blum did all the voice acting here for free. So there's not a lot of commercials yet. There just aren't. But it was cool to see little clips of anime and stuff while they're showing the advertisements. So that's fun. But let's talk about the first show that actually aired.
Dead Man Wonderland.
Dead Man Wonderland, man. I've seen the entire thing in Japanese already, so I'm going to let somebody... Caleb, since you haven't seen the entire thing, I'm going to let you talk about it first.
All right.
What did you think of it?
Okay. I personally thought that it was pretty awesome. I really didn't quite know what was going on. I mean, just because I thought it was just going to be just like some kind of school anime kind of thing, because that's how it starts out. But then all of a sudden there's this guy in like a red cape, and he's just floating outside. I'm just like, okay, something weird's gonna happen. I know that. Then all of a sudden, just boom, just everything just goes black, and he's waking up, and I'm just like, oh my god, there's blood everywhere. And then the guy in the cage just picks up the girl's head that the main character was talking to a minute ago. I was like, oh my god, this is awesome.
Now, I don't know what to say. It's awesome or gross, but I certainly liked it when I watched it, and it's funny. I actually like the first episode. The first episode actually introduces a lot of ideas. For example, Tokyo is destroyed by something called the Red Egg or Evil Egg. Or my Japanese not that great, but because when I watched it in Japanese, I'm trying to remember what I remember. But what happens is they think that the main character Ganta has killed all these kids in his classroom.
Yeah,
and he gets sent to prison. And it's the only prison that's privately owned in all of Japan. And it is a prison where prisoners they're pretty much forced to it's a tourist spot, and they're forced to entertain the tourists who come in and out of the prison. And it's like a carnival, and they have to run it. But they also have to fight for their lives against each other, because if they don't get this candy, then they can't live for another day. They have to eat it every 3 days.
Yeah. Another thing I thought was just cool was just like at the very end of the episode where just all of a sudden just like swoosh, and he just pushes all that falling debris just out of the way.
Oh yeah, there's some falling debris that's about to hit them. I don't want to spoil too much about that, but he does develop a power by the end of the first episode.
Yeah,
and that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, the show pretty much looked pretty epic and awesome, because he kept bugging me about watching it since it was kind of a short series, but there were a few other things I had to watch. But anyway, I'm really glad that I watched it now, because now I want to know more about it and keep watching it. But the only thing, and I don't want to spoil too much, because I already know I probably spoiled the ending, but it doesn't give away much. But there's this one part where what's the main character's name again? Ganta, where he's finally in Dead Man Wonderland. All right, so it's him and some other guys. They're standing in a line, and then the warden comes up, and
she's a chick with big boobs.
Yeah, no, you ruined it.
No, that's important.
Well, yeah, I know, but okay. Well, the warden comes up, and she's your typical like anime character. There's always got to be someone with big boobs. All right, and, she was giving instructions about how things work in this place, and she was going on, and then she finally said, "Are there any questions?" And then one of the guys just says, "Yeah, how big are them titties?" And she said something G.
Yeah, she just kind of ignores them and she says they're G's, and she just keeps walking. She just keeps giving them instructions, and that was hilarious to me. I agree. I really like that part, but I didn't have any complaints about it. But considering I've seen it in Japanese, I
sure didn't.
I've seen it in English too, so I've seen it in Japanese and English. And my only problem with the English dub is who plays the main character. If anybody has seen how I feel about the Evangelion Rebuild movies, I hate the voice actor for Kensuke now. Kensuke Ida, I hate him. So this is the same voice actor, and boy does he sound like a wimp. It fits right now, but I get the feeling that by the time the character stops being a wimp, it's not going to fit anymore.
Oh no.
So I'm not sure what they're going to do there. But we'll see.
Okay, well, we done on that?
Yeah, I think we're done with Dead Man Wonderland. The animation's good, and it's looking like it's going to be good on TV.
Yeah.
Hope they don't cut down the openings. It has a really good opening.
Yeah, Adult Swim's been kind of bad about that, because I know they did with Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
They did with the Raw.
Yeah, that too.
They did that with the opening and the endings. Actually, they did with Brotherhood with that too. Okay, never
Yeah,
mind.
they did. Oh, okay. Next show that they showed, Casshern Sins.
That's right.
Okay. Actually, you go first.
Okay, Cash and Sins. I'll be pretty simple about what it's about. Since we don't know very much yet, and I haven't seen this in Japanese. I haven't even seen the series that it's based off of. But essentially what I got from Cash and Sins is that the main character is a cyborg, maybe, or a human. He's either a robot or he's a human. No, they don't know yet. And he's basically killed this chick named Luna. And she is the sun of the earth, but she's actually named after the moon. So she's the sun named after the moon, whatever. But anyway, by killing her, he's caused all these machines to rust. And these machines believe that if they kill Casshern, then they can live forever. But Casshern doesn't have any of his memories except for the fact that he's killed Luna. So now he has to figure out why they want to kill him. And he meets a little girl, finds out she might be a robot or maybe a human, but she is a robot. Let's just keep it simple.
Yeah.
And he ends up doing some stuff, saving the day, and it's pretty cool. I like the animation. You can tell it's cheaply made, but I like the animation. But here's the thing. These two shows are shows that were they were failures. They basically were cheap to pick up, and Adult Swim needed something cheap to start off Toonami with. So they picked these two shows. Bleach is on there too, and so are all the other anime that Toonami still has. But Casshern Sins and Deadman Wonderland are just small little niche shows that they could get cheaply. And they're good, I get this, but Casshern Sins doesn't seem like a great choice because a lot of the show is not action. I mean, there's a lot of action in the first episode, but it's not an action show. It's a philosophy show. I don't know if that's what people watch Toonami for.
I don't think so either.
I mean, I just don't know. I mean, it's a good show. I mean, I like the voice acting. I don't know who any of the voice actors are. We've been trying to figure out who Casshern is for a little while.
Yeah. I personally thought it was, the typical, Yuri Lowenthal. You may know him as Sasuke from Naruto or Haseo from Dahag Roots series.
Well, he's not in Roots. He's in GU.
Oh, well. Oh, wait, yeah, that's right. My bad. And there's just a crap all of other stuff he's done. Trust me, you know. But, yeah, I thought it was pretty good because it kind of started off with action, right away. So, at least it caught my attention.
Yeah, it was a good show. I'm going to continue watching both of these shows. Even though I've already seen Deadman Wonderland, I want to see what they do with the English dub. But, okay, there's not much to say about Casshern Sins. It's got a lot of characters. It's got me wondering where it's going to go. So, overall enjoyment, man.
Dude, I'm so glad it's back.
I'm glad it's back. In fact, I have some predictions. The next show we're going to get, you ready for it? It's going to be Soul Eater. That's my prediction.
Yay.
What show do you think they might get?
I don't really know.
I thought that they were going to bring back Dragon Ball Z, but then I realized they don't have the license to do it.
No, and plus I think, and I pretty much know it couldn't be Dragon Ball Z Kai, because...
No, Kai can come on 2 channels. I mean, it already comes on... 4Kids has the rights to it, and Nick has the rights to it. They can put it on Cartoon Network, but it just costs a lot to do.
Well, and, even though Dragon Ball's, one of the legendary animes that mostly everybody knows, I personally wouldn't want it to come back just because it's just...
I mean, it's a good show, but it's so nostalgic, and we've seen it so many times. Do we need to see it again? Not really. We don't need another place to watch Dragon Ball. We got the internet and DVD box sets for that. I mean, so many ways to watch it. Another show that I would like to see, though, because we don't have many ways to watch, One Piece. And I'm not talking about the crappy 4Kids dub. Gotta go, keep dreaming.
Although that's probably what they're going to do.
No, they won't, because 4Kids doesn't do that. Funimation does everything for that now, and they bought both of these shows from Funimation.
Oh, yeah, I could... One Piece would be good for it. The only thing is that, it would just... One Piece is just so long. Yeah. That, I don't really know if they would get it or not. But it would be a good addition.
I would love to see Hakuto no Ken or Fist of the North Star, but I guess that's enough of predictions. Overall enjoyment, I liked it a lot. I'm really hoping to see this come up again and see if it's worth watching. I mean, okay, I would like to see more out of Toonami, because as it's going right now, it's certainly something fun to watch every weekend.
Yeah.
But it's not the nostalgia that's going to do it for me now. I've had that nostalgia run. Now they need to keep bringing me new shows and keep giving me new reasons to want to watch Toonami instead of simply keeping me there because I like the old Toonami.
Alright.
But besides that, I think I liked it. Is there anything else?
No, I'm good.
Okay, well, this is the end of the second podcast by us. Feel free to look up later podcasts. We have one from a while back that's totally outdated, but some things are still good, like our news of Resident Evil 6. Look up our previous podcast. We're going to have a new podcast coming up pretty soon. Not in a couple days, but soon. And we'll be going to be talking about the Avengers and E3 2012. So look forward to seeing you there. I'm Kyoshiro1902, aka Kyoshiro19. I'm Christopher Swain, aka Kyoshiro1902. And I look forward to seeing you in the next podcast.
Peace.